Reiatsu versus Conqueror's Haki. Who wins? A long-standing question within the power scaling community is which of these powers, Reiatsu with its ability to knock out people, or One Piece's infamous Conqueror's Haki, when comparing the pros and cons from the respective series, which of these titans has the greatest utility and strength of all? Haki is a power that exists within every human being, indistinguishable from basic concepts like presence and spirit that most people go through their entire lives without noticing that they possess. Haki is typically split into two shades, the first being observation, that allows an individual to detect the presence of others to an elevated degree, and armament Haki, which is, as its name implies, like wearing this presence or power, like a suit of armor with numerous offensive and defensive applications. But you see, Conquerors, or the coating of the Supreme King, is the third and rarest form of Haki, found almost exclusively in those who possess the qualities of a Conqueror. Although it can be controlled, this Haki is unique in that it cannot exclusively be trained for, since it is the very manifestation of one's spirit. Once awakened, it simply grows following a user's personal development. One of its primary applications, and the application that actually sparked the discussion in this video, is its ability to knock out or tame massive animals as well as humans. Once a Conqueror awakens this ability without control, the spirit is enough to knock down innocent bystanders. And to what degree? Well, we see it able to do anything from make fodders, Amazonian warriors, and even marines fame. It should also be noted that even with complete control, there have been cases in the series in which a Conqueror was rather on the edge, like Shanks, accidentally destroying some of the nearby surroundings, and in clashes, the excess of said Conquerors has been shown to knock out bystanders. So this power is not something to play with, and to hammer home just how ridiculous this ability is, typically members of the One Piece community will go with Luffy's display in Fishman Island, where he's shown casually incapacitating potentially 1,000 or so soldiers. As of the recording of this video, I would say that the absolute heights of which are splitting clouds, projecting black lightning capable of warding off admirals after traveling across islands, and so forth. Now, of course, the user can combine said Haki with the other two shades. Something that's very important to note though is that the One Piece community is kind of torn on the best way to identify who can or cannot, and when not we're seeing advanced applications of Haki, especially when it comes to conversations about emission and internal destruction. Nonetheless, how does this ability fare against spiritual pressure, particularly its ability to knock out people? Spiritual pressure over the years has come to be known as one of the most infamous, and as a Bleach creator, understandably irritating aspects of Bleach's Reiryoku power system, and with people frequently, especially members of the Bleach community, oversimplifying important aspects of said system and running with it. As a jerk response, many communities have in turn begun to severely underestimate many aspects of the system. So in this video, I want to touch on points that have been compared to One Piece's Conqueror's Haki. Spiritual pressure, shown through characters like Yamamoto, is capable of affecting not just fodder characters, but entire lieutenant level characters, such as Nanao during Yamamoto's fight against Shunsui and Yukitake. Simply directing his gaze at Nanao was enough to almost throw her into a comatose state, and it's safe to assume that her fate could have been far worse had she not been removed from the battle. People, typically with agendas, try to create the narrative that it's a power only used by characters like Aizen to incapacitate fodders, but this is proven time and time again to not be the case. Should there be a large power gap between the user and their enemy, the Bleach system seemingly has no real baseline to avoid said power. Aizen is shown putting characters like Grimmjow down with a gaze, but that really only scratches the surface. Spiritual pressure as a whole is very deadly, with it being made a point of emphasis across numerous instances within the series that said power can and will be lethal. For example, with Byakuya's Reiatsu pulverizing Renji during their battle, and as we know all too well, there have been multiple instances in which Aizen has simply vaporized entire bodies or parts of bodies that came in contact with his spiritual pressure. Not to mention Stark's origin story. This man, before being separated into himself and Lillinette, would literally kill swaths of hollows just due to his presence. And although people don't like to bring this up, might I remind you, Aizen warned Shunsui, should he make contact with him, his fate will be the exact same as the executioner. Of the evidence provided from each series, I think it's clear to say that when it comes to the topic of fatality, spiritual pressure is an entire level above Conquerors, literally being able to erase the soul of any character significantly weaker than the user. The next thing that should be compared is the sheer range of spiritual pressure. In Bleach, we're introduced to Gente Kaijo, a seal that lieutenant level characters and above have to wear to prevent them from significantly affecting the souls of the world of the living's inhabitants. And characters like Eiichiro consolidate this kind of reign in his battle with Shinji. His spiritual pressure literally echoed across the planet. But you see, again, this is an understatement. In Bleach's 1000-Year Blood War anime, the excess spiritual pressure released by Senjumaru simply going into Bunkai not only shook but traveled across a bare minimum several multi-galactic sized dimensions. So in terms of scale and how powerful the respective abilities are, are. Reiatsu and Conquerors are like heaven and earth. Simply comparing these two aspects alone, not taking into account the other utilities of the spiritual pressure power system, like the ability to stay suspended in air, preside over supernatural phenomenon, for the spiritual pressure to take form and raise internal organ, as well as other forms of durability negation, I think it's very clear that spiritual pressure takes the W in this battle against specific aspects of the two power systems. If you enjoyed this video, of course, make sure to drop a like, subscribe. Now this is perhaps the most important due to YouTube's new algorithm. Leave a comment, tell me what you liked about the video, what you disliked about the video, what you would like me to talk about in another one, and as always, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.